Whether it's the regular season or the offseason, we have you covered as we give you the best Tennessee Titans and NFL news and insight that a fan could ask for. You're watching the Titan Upload Network. The Power Hour is on the air, live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and as always, thank you for joining us on this fine Monday evening. Guys, so great to be here tonight. So much news broke over the weekend. So much to talk about. The Titans secondary is probably at a stage that we haven't seen it in quite a long time. Of course, I can't talk about it without the help of my good friend and co-host, Tyler Staggs of Titans Time Podcast. Tyler, happy Monday, my friend.
Happy Monday, buddy. Hope you're doing well today. Hope everyone in the chat is doing well. And, man, like you said, this weekend was full of moves.
It definitely was, and it was so moving that it basically just caught me off guard and speechless at this point. Hence why I couldn't give you a fair response. But I digress. So, Tyler, before we jump in to our prospect talk today, we definitely have to talk a little bit about this because I feel that it definitely merited a little bit of discussion, especially the fact everybody's been talking about it for the last 2 days. I mean, what can I really say? That Upload or, even the boss has talked about it at this point. But by God, I'm going to try. SNEED feels like the final piece to the secondary and has solidified the back end of the defense. So has this team finally turned a corner with finally defending the pass?
I think they have. I mean, you look at what this cornerback room looks like now compared to last year. And I know we haven't seen these guys suit up for the Titans yet to see how it all comes together out on the field. It's just going off of speculation right now of what we've seen these guys do in the past and can they repeat that. But if you look at it on paper, last year, Christian Fulton, SMB, and then Roger McCreary. But now you have L'Jarius Sneed, a guy, put him on one side, you decide who he wants to shadow, he's got you. You got Cheeto out there, another guy that can, teams, I know over the last couple of years, teams have gone at him some, but he's coming back, second year back from that ACL. I mentioned that a couple of shows ago. So he should be back to his full form. And then you have McCreary playing in the slot, playing that nickel corner where he thrives more. Like this secondary, especially the cornerback room, just looks so much better. And I'll be honest, that news broke. I take off running to find my wife. I'm jumping up and down, smiling ear to ear, talking about how the Titans just traded for L'Jarius Sneed, what they traded for. I mean, I had adrenaline pumping that whole night. I don't know how I was able to go to sleep.
Well, Tyler, I got a confession for you. The news was great. And, my adrenaline definitely was pumping. Problem was, it was Saturday morning when I found out. Because I had to go to bed early because, unfortunately, we've been a little shorthanded at work, and I've had to handle some things, doubling up on some things. So, yeah, that was a pretty fun way to wake up on a Saturday. But still, regardless, I was able to get in my 2 takes with it, and I think the Titans have finally got their defensive secondary going in the right direction. And I'll tell you what's really going in the right direction before we get things any further. Shout out to Chris Tribble for becoming a member of the Titan Upload Network. Chris, you get the special horn.
Wow! Look what I found, Ma!
And I guess we found ourselves a new member. So, Chris, welcome to the TUN family. Glad to have you aboard. Glad to see everybody in the chat as well. Ryan, how are you doing, buddy? Tighten up. Shout out to the network as well. He's giving a shout out to Chris. So good seeing him too. Jay, good seeing you as well. Rossi's in the building. Good seeing you, man. And thank you. So for those of you asking what Rossi's talking about, I'm melting away because I'm on a weight loss journey. And just between all of us, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but since Rossi brought it up, I've already lost 64 pounds and I'm trying to lose about 61 more. So it's going well. We'll just see where I go. So I promise you, if you come to the show and you just see me looking more just lean, I'm not sick. Everything's fine. I'm just trying to lose fat. It's a process.
Hey, you got to have that little brag and give yourself a pat on the back. I mean, you've been rocking it this journey. You told us about it on here, what your New Year's goal was, and you are rocking and rolling with it. So, yes, congrats on your journey so far, buddy. And I know you're going to keep rocking with it.
I mean, I appreciate it. It's just, I'm halfway. I'm one of those people. It's like, I don't want to slow up at this point. I've got a long way to go, but I digress. I got to this point. Now let's just see if I can take it the rest of the way. So I'll do what I can, but I appreciate the sentiment and, of course, the support as well. But you guys didn't come here to see me talk about my skinny ass. You came here to see us talk about football. So let's not waste another moment and get into this bad boy. We got some draft prospects to break down. We got some talk about L'Jarius Sneed a little later in the show. And, of course, Rand Carthon has been cooking. So we'll see what the chef's been mastering up and give a grade for his overall performance right now. So let's not waste another minute, guys. Jumping into our first segment. I'm Michael Bishop of the Power Hour, joined by Tyler Staggs. Let's jump into our first segment now. So, Tyler, we talked about, we tried to push out the narrative of what we're going to do with the first round pick, and it's kind of hit a wall at this point because at this point, all roads seemingly look like Joe Alt's going to be the first overall pick. And I basically said, I'm about 95% sure of it. So how are we going to be able to talk about the draft for the next 2 weeks with a little enthusiasm? Because I don't want to try and continue to sell other players that I don't think are going to end up on the Titans. It just seems silly and redundant at that point. So what's wrong with talking about the second round picks? It's a very vital pick. It's a very important need to fill, especially after the number 1 pick, but still great value there. Great opportunity as well. So Tyler, let's start out with a spot that definitely needs to be filled and addressed, the nose tackle position. Now, I know we brought in a player to potentially have that opportunity there. And I know some people are going to push back with, well, Mike, why not just address that later in the draft? Well, that's the point. Let's look at some of the top tier talent at the second round and see if they're worthy of the pick. Doesn't hurt to kick the tires. And I think these are some fun tires to kick, Tyler. So let's start out with Trevondre Sweat. Nose tackle from Texas, played 3 years, was definitely a big contributor to their success on defense. What makes Sweat so special?
So, like you were talking about, we could, given how things have aligned now, we could only talk about prospects for the number 7 overall pick so long before it became obvious that it looks like, before it became obvious that Joe Alt is probably going to fall into the Titans' lap. Again, not fully guaranteed, but highly likely. So you look at the second round, pick 38, and before the moves that the Titans made over like the last week and a half, you could have made a case for wide receiver, defensive tackle, edge, I mean, another offensive tackle. I mean, just several different positions. But now, even cornerback. But now the Titans gone out, got L'Jarius Sneed. They've got Calvin Ridley. And what makes T'Vondre Sweat such an appealing prospect is you have this absolute unit that you could put on the interior defensive line with Big Jeff. You have this big body, a guy that teams can't just put one person on and hope that that person stops him. You're going to have to double team this man. And I get it. People are going to say, well, he's probably only going to be a 2-down player. He's not going to play all 3 downs. Okay. Give me those first 2 downs with him. Let him eat up that space. Team wants to try and run up the middle on us. Good luck with T'Vondre Sweat sitting there in the middle. He's going to eat up 2 guys trying to block him, which opens things up for your linebackers coming down to make plays on the ball carrier. That offensive line can't double team everyone. So if you pair up T'Vondre Sweat with Big Jeff, Harold Landry, Arden Key, who are they going to double team? You double team Sweat. Okay, you're going to leave either Harold Landry, Arden Key, or Big Jeff one-on-one. Let me know how that works out for you. You double team Big Jeff, still Harold Landry, Arden Key, or T'Vondre Sweat one-on-one. Let me know how it works out for you.
And it probably won't work out too well for him, Tyler, because let's break down some positives here, and especially in this trait. You've got a 6'4", 366-pound human with roughly about 10 and a half size hands and a 33 and a fourth arm length and about an 81 wingspan. So let me put it to you this way. Do you know what he scored on his 40-yard dash? This is to me.
His 40-yard dash was a 5.27, I believe.
Would you like a comparison to what that would be?
Sure.
A defensive tackle running at a 5.27 is the equivalent of a defensive back running the 40 in a 4.26. So that just shows and sells how fast he is. This man is 366 pounds, and he has wheels on him. I know 5.21 doesn't sound fast to you as a defensive lineman, but this man is moving as a 6'4", almost 400-pound human being at the equivalent of what a defensive back would be running at that 40 time.
Man.
So you're looking at a guy that literally can take on multiple blocks against the run. He is not somebody that is easily stoppable. You definitely have to put double teams on him. He can get off one-on-one blocks without any hesitation or even fight. That's how strong he is.
Yeah, if you don't have a center to help on him on passing downs and he's out there, the man is going to just crater the pocket and make the quarterback have to try and roll out or find a way to escape the pocket that's not up the middle.
Now, of course, with the positives, I definitely got to throw a little bit of negative his way. As much as I like the kid, I definitely have to sell both sides of the narrative because I'm trying to make a sell here. I want to give you an informed decision. I want to make sure that I'm giving you all the information that I can. So from the scouting report, lacks acceleration off the line of scrimmage. He does have a bit of a habit from hopping and standing up out of his stance. And shout out to Bleacher Report for the report on this. Hands are often late when rushing the passer. Doesn't have a go-to pass rush move that he consistently win with in the NFL, and his conditioning needs work. Runs out of gas easily. So, Tyler, with those being the negatives, what can you combat with as positives to help sell that narrative with what his weaknesses are?
So to combat that, like you said, his strength that he has and his speed. He doesn't have a consistent move that he can win with, but he's able to uh dig down, and he's hard to push out of a gap when he is out there. So even if he doesn't necessarily have that quickness at the line, it's hard for offensive linemen to still move him out of the gap. And he does have a good club move to eliminate a heads up blocker. So, while he may not have one move he can go to all the time to win, he's still a big body that's hard to move. And when it comes to the run game, running backs, they're always looking for that gap to hit, to shoot through. He's going to fill that gap. You can't, as I mentioned earlier, you can't block him one-on-one. If you try to block him one-on-one, he's going to make you pay.
And Tracy Rocker, to me, would be an interesting pairing with Sweat, because Tracy Rocker's worked at both levels, college and professional, and he knows how to get the best out of his guys. So that intrigues me there. I feel you have to look at the positioning coach and what they bring to the table as well. And a guy like Javondre Sweat, and you pair him with a Tracy Rocker, woo, that man gets the best out of his players. So consider this, Tyler. And of course, we'll involve the chat in this as well, because we want to hear your opinion. That's important to us too. So think of it this way. I know some people are going to get pushback on, should he go at 38? There's other needs the Titans need, and that's understandable. I'm not going to argue that point, but let's ask this. We talk about trading back, especially in the first round. I don't think the Titans should move in the first round. There's just too much good value there. There's prospects there that could be real, just blue chippers that end up giving a lot of success and a lot of dynamic and a lot of just electricity, especially to a wide receiver position or an offensive line position. So that being said, should the Titans consider trading the second, maybe a little further down the road, to see if they could add a few more picks and maybe land Sweat in the process? So let us know what you think in the chat. And Tyler, give us your take.
Yeah, so I like what you said there, because I see on X all of these people talking about, the Titans trading back in the first round, trading back from pick number 7. And to me, that trade back that does not make sense. Given how free agency has gone for the Titans and how it looks like the draft is shaking out, it absolutely looks like the top left tackle is going to fall into your hands. I don't want the Titans to trade out of that position. However, like you mentioned, when it comes to pick number 38 in the second round, I would be fine with the Titans seeing about moving back some from there, trading back, picking up 1 or 2 extra picks from that trade back, and potentially, landing Sweat in like the mid to late 40s if, he's still available there. I think that becomes more of a win-win for the Titans, and I would rather them trade back in the second round as trade back in the first round and lose out on the top 2 left tackles in this draft.
Now, that being said, let's say they make the trade in the second. Let's say one of the picks is going to be Sweat. So who would you want the other pick to be? And you guys, let's get your take in the chat as well. Who would that other trade be? Let's say that they score a third round pick, and we'll go from there. So let's hear what everybody has to say in the chat. And while they're chiming in, Tyler, who's somebody you would like to pair with on that defense, or is there an offensive weapon you're looking at to potentially add to this Titans roster?
So I think that even though the Titans did land Calvin Ridley, I would still like to see them grab another receiver in this draft. Now, it would just depend on how things shake out, but if they trade back and are still able to get Sweat in the second round, third round, depending on what receiver is there, I think he's probably more of a second rounder. I don't think he would fall to the third, but if he somehow did, Xavier Legette, I'd like to add him as an offensive weapon as well. Like I said, don't know if he would fall to the third, but that's another guy that would be on my radar there.
And sorry, Lou, man. Of course, I forgot to say, make sure, guys, to like the show. And if you're trying to like the show on this special format that we're in, you got to poke the dots. So find the 3 dots and poke the dots, and make sure you give that thumbs up for the show, and make sure you share it, because sharing is caring. I think, Tyler, that the Titans need to continue to build with the defense, especially if they're able to land a third-round pick. You know, the linebacking market right now is thin, which is a laughable statement. But I look at it from a standpoint, you're trying to find a guy to help this defense and help them get to the next point and the next level. So, I mean, what are you going to do when you can't find talent in free agency? You're going to look to the draft. Of course you are. So a couple names that definitely jump out to me in this linebacker draft, and I think it's a pretty good one. So there's 2 guys that really get me excited that I think could be additional nice pieces to add on. So not necessarily a situation that I would pass on. Edgerrin Cooper from Texas A&M is absolutely suited for the middle linebacker position, and I would go after him first before I pursued Sweat, because right there in some draft boards, potentially people have him marked as maybe the 3rd or 4th best linebacker in this class. And I think that fills a massive need. Or here's a name that you might be familiar with, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., son of course, the famous Eagle Jeremiah Trotter. Played at Clemson. Definitely is suited for the middle linebacker position. So, Tyler, some pretty good options there, especially for a team that's trying to find value in maybe a potential young starter at their linebacking core.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that was kind of where, in my mind, the back and forth was. Because if the Titans traded back in the second round and say they still took Sweat with that second round pick, it opens up your options if you get that third round pick, because like you mentioned, there's some linebackers in there that you can add. And while, yes, they added Murray to this linebacking core, I still think they need someone else. So you can, like you mentioned, you could add a young linebacker in the third round like Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and bring some more youth to that linebacker room and help out. And third round, Titans don't have a third round pick. So if you have a chance to pick up a 3rd-round pick from trading back in the 2nd and can grab one of these middle linebackers, I'd be fine with that as well.
But apparently these Titans don't want to be dealing with 3rd-round picks, Tyler. They're just handing them away and apparently landing top-tier cornerbacks in the process.
Hey, I'm just going to tell you, if you can land one of the best corners in the league for a next year's 3rd-round pick,
sign me up.
I'll take it. After the cornerback play we've seen the last couple of years, now we have a defensive coordinator who the last 2 years, his secondaries have been the best secondaries in the league. And now you give him arguably the top corner in the league, top 3, top 5 corner in the league.
And with that secondary solidified, give me some meat on the bone. Give me some meat up front. I want a dude that's going to get these quarterbacks frustrated and worried. Because I'm going to tell you right now, guys, Trevor Lawrence, Anthony Richardson, and C.J. Stroud are here to stay. For how long? I don't know. But you got to put pressure on these kids. They're going to keep going out there and slinging the ball because that's what they're going to do. I need a guy up front that's going to make them uncomfortable and just damn near terrified when they're on the line of scrimmage. I want a guy like that. Sweat to me is that guy that's got the physique, that has that just mental and physical strength within him that can push himself to the next level. I don't know what he can be, but Tyler, I'll give you a favorable comparison that I'm very, very interested if this could come to fruition, if the Titans take that chance on him. Jordan Davis is definitely a name that I hear get thrown around when comparing him to Tervondre Sweat.
I like that comparison. And we've seen the success that Jordan Davis has had. I mean, he's that big body. He's that space eater. He's that guy that, like we've mentioned with Sweat, you leave him one-on-one and you're asking for a bad day.
And that's why I said pairing is everything. That's why I feel a player like Sweat working with a line coach like Tracy Rocker, it's a great mentality and a great bond. And I think it's a strong enough bond to build something that could be just very effective in the AFC South. Well, all right, guys, we're going to take a quick 30-second break. But when we come back, Rand Carthon has put on his chef's hat and he has been cooking not just a meal, but maybe something gourmet. We're going to break down the whole meal and what we think the results are. But of course, guys, before we go to break, we have a very special announcement for you tonight. So stick around to the end of the show. I promise you it's worth it. Mm-hmm. Tyler and I have been in the lab working on a few things. So I promise you, stick around. It's worth it. It's worth the listen. So quick 30-second break. And we shall be back to talk more Titans.
Watching the Power Hour with your hosts, Michael Bishop and Tyler Staggs.
The Power Hour is on the air, live streaming you on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and as always, thank you for joining us on this fine Monday evening. So, guys, I know this format can be a little frustrating. I understand. Lou Man, you're getting big mad, and YouTube, you're just making Lou Man mad, and I'm just not having that. You better Get it fixed, son. I am not having this. We can't have our guests in here and our chat frustrated. They're here to watch and be entertained, not frustrated that they can't find the like button. But I'll help you find it once again. Make sure you poke the dots to get the like out. And of course, make sure that you share the show, because sharing is caring. And the Titan Upload Network is all about sharing, not only just for Titans fans, but for NFL fans in general, because we love to serve all kinds here. We're all about you. We serve you because that's what we do. And business booms because we do. Tyler, man, I got to admit, this has been a very fun offseason. Before we even get into the next segment, this has been probably one of the more fun off seasons that I can remember. This one has just been kind of like you're holding your breath, you're waiting for something exciting. And I'll admit, like after the first wave, it kind of just tattered down a little bit, a little quiet. Then the SNEED rumors start coming up and everybody's excited. Then kind of falls apart right there at the end. And then everybody's like, well, that didn't work out. Then it looked like the Titans missed out on a few guys. And then the SNEED talk starts up a little bit. There's just so much going on there.
Yeah.
It's entertaining, not to say the least.
Yeah, this off season for the Titans, and I get it. We've had, maybe a few, like, as far as big pops, we've had a few over the last couple of off seasons. DeAndre Hopkins coming here last year. That was pretty good pop. Worked out for us. One before that didn't work out. Traded for Julio Jones. Got a pop. Unfortunately, didn't work out. But this year, man, it was, like you said, that first week, it was kind of pop, 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 pop. And
it was firing off there. I mean, it was like just a semi-automatic just going off. It's like, and the news wouldn't stop, and we just couldn't get shorts out enough. Shout out to the boss and Rocky for getting all that out, by the way.
And then it drops down, and like you said, the SNEED talks, hearing some rumors about it, then it kind of dies down. Well, in the midst of it dying down, out of nowhere, the Titans come off the top rope and land Calvin Ridley to add to their wide receiver room. And it's like, okay, well, then you see some more of the SNEED talks, and it's like, well, maybe, the Titans, since the SNEED talk died down before, they decided to change directions, go get Calvin Ridley. But you're thinking, okay, well, that takes them out of the SNEED talk, and all of a sudden, like you said, it starts heating back up again. And you get that adrenaline rush once again because Rand Carthon, he's like, you know what? I'm not done cooking up these dishes yet. I got to get back in the kitchen, make a little bit more magic happen. Here's L'Jarius Sneed.
And believe me, he pulled his Chef Ramsay on that move. It was quite the dish he served up. But as I said, Tyler, there's a lot of dishes to talk about. Let's break down what Rand's done in the kitchen so far, because this meal has looked fire so far. So as we said, Rand Carthon has definitely been working this offseason to get this team heading in the right direction. And it started with adding the right pieces, the right ingredients, so to say. And Tyler, like any great meal, you have to know what you're trying to do first. So what was the vision that Rand and Coach Callie basically put into place to start this meal?
Well, the vision to start this meal, they go out, and a move that confused you and me at first, but they go out and add another dynamic running back in Tony Pollard. And they follow that up by, Tony Pollard, running back, Tajay Spears, running back. Not going to do much on the ground if your offensive line can't open some things up for you. So they add a key piece to the middle of that offensive line. So they're like, hey, we're going to fix this offense. We're going to fix this offensive line. And that was kind of the starting point. But then they said, hey, we're also going to go out and fix this pass defense too. We got to be more aggressive there. So they add Cheeto in the secondary. And, this meal's coming together, and you're just seeing a shift in this Titans team where as the pieces are falling, you can just tell it's not our grandparents' Titans team. They're catching up to the new age now.
Oh, yeah. This team is definitely showing that they're not playing old school 80s football where smash mouth offense is going to be the thing and smash mouth defense is going to be the thing. It's about being in the current NFL today and showing teams you can play physical, you can play fast, you play and win with the quarterback position. So that's the thing we're selling here, Tyler. The biggest part of this entire meal, quote unquote, is the fact that Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan are putting Will Levis front and center within this whole organization. That he's the key ingredient. Everything else, your Calvin Ridley, your Tony Pollard, your Cushenberry, those are just the smaller ingredients that are going to help basically zest this entire dish up. And I got to say, the dish looks solid, but it's still missing a few things.
It is. But, like we've talked about, when all the ingredients aren't necessarily, or the ingredients that you want aren't there in free agency, it's when you look to the draft. Hey, you've gone to one store. You found some ingredients that you liked. You grabbed them to add to your dish, to your main ingredient, like you said. But now, you got to go to another store and see if you can find the other ingredients to make the dish even better.
So we got to stop talking about this food. I'm making myself hungry at this point. And I just can't be going to bed feeling like this, just peckish. So let's talk about some of the newer additions, Tyler. And I mean, Calvin Ridley definitely was one of the biggest zesty points in this meal. So we've heard it all. We've heard the overpaid scenario. We've heard that at this point, it was just one of those moves the Titans had to do to make up for other lost players. I'm not going to mention said players. But let's be honest, Tyler. Doesn't everybody get overpaid in free agency regardless of wherever they go? We keep this narrative of that it matters. But the thing is, when you desperately need to upgrade a position, you're going to pay the guy. So I think this was a key ingredient for this meal. So, yeah, maybe he got overpaid, but damn it, the meal needed pop. And this pops.
Yeah, like you said, when you go into free agency, are you going to see some guys, get paid and you're like, okay, I wish my team would have gave that. And then you see some teams where you're like, man, I don't know how I would have felt if my team paid that. But if it is your team paying that, especially for a position of need, a position that you need to upgrade, and that they are essentially, you have other teams that are in a bidding war over them, I don't see it as an overpay. Now, if you go out and you get a guy who is nothing more than, like a backup or special teams player. And this is no shot at those guys. Those guys, they're out there making their living. But if you go get a guy that is solely a special teams guy, and I'm not talking about your kicker, punter, holder, long snapper, I'm talking about one of these other guys, and you pay them $100 million contract, then yes, I would classify that as an overpay. But when you're going at a position like receiver, people saying overpaid for Ridley, they didn't. The Titans had a need for upgrading the wide receiver position. There were two teams that were mainly in talks for Calvin Ridley, the New England Patriots and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Titans said, you know what? We got this money to spend. Let's go upgrade. And they gave him the money.
Of course. And getting to that, let's just get to the point where we're going to give the final. Let's give the midpoint grade at this point. I won't say final because this thing's never going to be final till the 53-man roster set. But of course, everybody in the chat want to get your grade as well. What do you grade Rand Carthon's job in this free agency period right now? So want to hear what you have to say in the chat. Tyler, what are you grading Chef Rand?
Right now, I am, because like you said, there's still moves to be made. Given the recent moves and overall moves that Rand Carthon has made this offseason, I'm going to go with a A right now. I think just overall, the team had a need for cornerback. He went out and got Cheeto and Sneed. The team had a need for the center position. He went out and got Cushenberry. Team had a need at wide receiver. He went out and got Calvin Ridley. He's addressed these major positions. Now, are there still some holes on the team? Yes. But this team come into the offseason with so many holes. It's going to be hard to fix all of them in one offseason. But what he's done so far with these positions of need, overall, and it's probably top heavy given the recent moves of Ridley and Sneed.
But Tyler, the thing is, if you're a part of the 33rd team, this is a C+ job, apparently. So, please, I mean, they're the professionals here. They obviously know something we don't know. So, what makes you think that this is worthy of an A? Why are we taking this word over what the 33rd team said?
I mean, they might be professional clickbaiters. I mean, that if they're wanting to get their clicks up from Titans fans and, ruffle some feathers, yeah, sure. Call it a C+. Or just label it how... Just be honest about why you labeled it that. It's not the sexy move that you wanted to see from these free agents or the trade for Sneed. You wanted to see these guys go somewhere else. You didn't want to see them go to the Titans. But are you going to give the Titans props for getting them? No. You're just going to say, well, the Titans overpaid for these guys. And you know how it is. Even a guy that has been a staple for the Titans, and just because I want to make this point to drive home this other point, Derrick Henry over the last couple of years. When he was still with the Titans, people are talking about how he's how he's losing a step, this and that. Except for Titans fans. Titans fans telling it how it is. But then, the second Derrick Henry goes and signs with the Ravens, all of a sudden, everyone is like, man, Derrick Henry, the man's still got a lot left in the tank. He's not losing a step. Look at the numbers he's put up over these past 5 years. Where was that same energy? Now, these free agents that have signed here, or L'Jarius Sneed being traded to the Titans. Well, it's the Titans, so it just doesn't matter. 33rd team's got to do better.
You can't say it doesn't matter. It
Well,
ruffled feathers, apparently, so I'll give them credit where credit's due. They did their job. Great clickbait, golf clap. But at the same time, it's hilarious to me. Just once again, here we are talking about small market team, doesn't get paid attention to, doesn't give the full narrative. It's basically just you're looking at the elephant, but you're not looking at the whole elephant. But what do I know? I just follow this team, and I just know about this team. Yeah, right. But regardless, I think this was teetering very much on a B move. And I think a lot of great points, by the way. Jay brought up a good point here. The Murray move, I don't have an answer for that. I don't know what he's going to be. If he becomes something that just rejuvenates his career here and becomes a difference maker, cool. But that's a pretty hard sell right now. I can't even sell that here, and I try to sell positivity here, but damn, that's making me work too hard on this show. Regardless, though, the SNEED move to me, move this to the A tier. I was already in a point where it's like, Rand's done really well. We've addressed some major positions. We've built some holes in the process with doing that. But that's the thing with getting your hands messy and rebuilding, which let's call it what it is. We're trying to make things more efficient. We're trying to find faster players, and we're trying to be more analytic. And unfortunately, you got to cut some ends loose. And that's what happened here. So regardless, there's still work to be done, as Tyler said. There's still time to get it done. There's plenty of moves, especially with June coming up. With those cuts, there's probably going to be other cap casualties. There's going to be injuries, maybe on our side where we have to make some tough decisions to see what happens. Hopefully everybody stays healthy, knock on wood. But regardless, until the final roster's set, there's always ways to improve this team. And I love the fact that Rand's thinking that way. I love the fact that Brian Callahan in the coaching meetings brought up that same scenario and that they were willing to do whatever it takes to make this team better, regardless of the situation. And they already brought up the point. They wanted to try and keep Danico Autry. They wanted to try and keep Aziz Al-Shaair. It was just a better situation came up, and that's fine. I don't have problems with guys want to make a little bit of more money somewhere else, or they just like the situation better that they're offered. It's the league. Sometimes we got to remember, you got to put your big boy pants on because it's just how it goes. But the move within itself, what Rand's done, has been just exciting. It's created buzz. It's gotten the fan base re-energized. I think with a lot of uncertainty, it also sold a lot of positivity as well. And I think that's the key point here. You want to see results. But we've made some major moves in order to make those happen. And you have every right to be excited about it. I promise you, whatever the Titans are cooking in the kitchen, it smells good. And I'm excited to see the finished product once September rolls around. That's what I'm looking forward to. All right, guys, I promised you, if you hung around, we got a big announcement tonight. You have hung around, and I'm going to be the man to keep my word. Tyler and I have been working on a big project, and we're really excited to share it with you all. So coming up with its basic and humble, I might add, just announcement that we're giving. We'll take a quick 30-second break, and while we take that break, we are going to share our new project with you coming out in just a few weeks. Sit tight.
And Tyler Staggs.
The Power Hour is on the air, live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch. I'm your host, Michael Bishop, and as always, thank you for joining us on this fine Monday evening. Guys, you've been phenomenal, but what more could we expect? You're a great audience. You're great commenters. You make this network phenomenal. We are super excited the fact that we have you here with us tonight, and as always, round of applause for everything that you do. And of course, guys, as the announcement said, Tyler and I have a little side project we've been working on. It's not affiliated with the Titan Upload Network. This is our own thing. We're doing this just by ourselves. The BS Report drops April 6th. It is our new uncut, uncensored podcast where we will talk not only Tennessee Titans, but NFL football in general, and just shoot the breeze. So we're going to really keep it real there, and we're really going to cut loose. So check it out, April 6th, wherever you listen to all your platform podcasts or podcast platforms. See, still green on that. I'll have to figure out how to say it, I promise. But regardless of that, we're excited about it. We've kind of been sitting on it for the last few weeks. So April 6th will be the drop date. Super stoked to get that out to you guys. Hope you enjoy it. But as always, guys, thank you once again for watching the show. But before we get out of here, we love that you showed up. We love that you commented, but we got to get you out of here. So last segment, our favorite segment, give me my theme music.
Closing time.
Good night, losers.
And it's been the man of the weekend and the extended weekend, I guess we can say. The need for SNEED has been filled. And Tyler, this was a free agency, I think, that people were like glued, not only on their phones, but on their laptops, on their TVs, on their alerts. They wanted to know if this thing was going to get done. Leave it to Rand. He got the deal done at 0 hour. And while I was sleeping, no doubt.
Hey, look, like you said, a great thing to wake up to, because I told you, as I said, I was still up. I was playing Madden, and I just so happened to check X on my phone, and that's the first thing that popped up. I immediately screenshotted it and sent it to you, but saw that your notifications were silenced at the time, and then I took off running to find my wife, and I mean, had the biggest grin on my face, just jumping up and down, excited. So, but it was great for you to wake up to have that excitement.
Yeah, everybody went to McDonald's and had McDonald's. I woke up and found out after the fact. It's like me and a kid missing out on Chuck E. Cheese. And then it's like, oh, yeah, Chuck E. Cheese was dope. Like, everybody was there. Like, and they had, like, F-17 jets flying all over the place. And there was, like, a fireworks show. Yeah, that was fun.
And look, just to add the cherry on top for
you're going to rub it in more now?
No, not to rub it in on you. To rub it in on Colts fans, because the Colts, you see all these reports about how things are heating up between the Chiefs and the Colts for this trade, and things saying that it's pretty much a done deal, just have to iron out the contract details. And then all of a sudden the Titans swoop in and Rand gets a deal done, and you have absolute chaos for Colts Twitter, because you got half of the people saying that why could he not get this deal done? That's all it took money wise. And then you had the other half of Colts fans being like, well, we didn't want him anyway at that 55 million guaranteed number.
Of
Like
course they didn't.
that's too, like, sit down and shut up. Like, yeah, you did. You
Of
were
course they did.
like, go back a couple of days. You were just talking about how you wanted him. You're just upset that the Titans got him and the Colts didn't. It's not, look, you're not mad at us. You're mad at Ballard for not going and spending a little bit of the money and getting the deal done. That's what it is. You're not mad at us.
Yeah.
You're mad at your team.
Yeah, we're the kids running around school with the McDonald's bags screaming, "We got McDonald's."
Except
you
for
got
Mike, because he missed that.
You
day.
got McDonald's. I missed out on McDonald's. I just got to smell the bag. We got to quit talking about food here. This is killing me, man. I can't be going to bed like hungry. Fat guy problems. Oops, I'm not even fat, just flab guy problems, because that's what I am now. I've just got like skin flaps right now. Jay, you get my age, yeah, it happens. I promise. It happens. I promise you. It's not an upward slope. Trust me. Things are going to droop. Things are going to get hairy. You're having stuff where it's not supposed to be. I promise you. That's what old age brings you. Or I'll just call it what it is. Second puberty.
Jay said the gross was for McDonald's.
Oh, well. Jay, at this point, I'd settle for Burger King, whatever.
Oh.
Well, now that we're done talking about my flabby gut, let's go ahead and close this out with our favorite segment, of course. Bet you didn't know, as Tyler and I ask questions about each other. So, Tyler, don't ask me anything food related. I'm not having it. I'm getting hangry over here, and I'm just not having it.
Oh, so, man, I got to look for a new question. I'm just kidding.
You better find a whole new question now. I think I went last time, so I guess you get to ask first tonight.
All right. I between two, I'm going to save one for next week because I don't believe I have asked it yet. But the one I'm going to go with tonight is what, growing up, looking back at that time, what was your favorite Halloween costume that you had?
My favorite Halloween costume.
Mm-hmm.
I had some pretty interesting ones. So, I mean, that would definitely take a little bit of thought, but I don't want to spend all night on that. So I think my favorite, can it be at any age?
Yeah. We can go any age.
Well, I think the one that I felt was most time appropriate and I just pulled off very well was my Austin Powers costume.
Okay.
I had the blue velvet suit with the white trim and the medallion and everything. It just, it popped and it just worked for the time. So I was pretty pleased with that. And my hair kind of matched too. So it worked, back when I had more just hair in general.
All right.
We got some costumes coming in. XT Gamer, when is, I guess, George Jefferson, maybe? Or the annoying orange? Hey, what? That'd be a great Maximate. Evil Knievel. And Jay said he was 50, so Jay's already over the hill. So, but hey, it's all good, Jay. You got life experience, so I'm starting my descent on the hill, so I'm not too far behind you. All right, Tyler, and for your question tonight to finish out everything, what is one soft drink that you grew up with that doesn't exist anymore would you like to see make a comeback?
One soft drink that I grew up on that doesn't exist anymore. I had one immediately pop in my head because I don't recall seeing it anymore, but I do know that I had it when I was younger. and Mellow Yellow. Like I said, I don't remember seeing it anymore now.
I don't know. Is Mellow Yellow still around? I mean, I don't drink soda as much as I used to. I mean, I haven't had
don't
a soda
either.
in like 4 years, to be honest. So, I mean, if Mellow Yellow is still around, I mean,
I don't know. I haven't
somebody might
seen it in
wanna-
a while.
Sierra Mist. But isn't that just Starry now?
It is.
I mean, I don't know, XD Gamer. I haven't had a soda in like almost 4 years. So,
And Jay, like I said, I don't know if it's still around or not. I can't remember the last time I've seen it.
it's been a hot minute. I used to drink that all the time when I was a kid, though. Like, unfortunately, that was one of those things that I got sick off of, and I've never wanted it ever since. It's like, if you've ever had a food and you just enjoyed it and you had too much of it, and then you just like physically got sick off of it, then you just swore it off.
Yeah, like I said, it wasn't like my go-to, but every now and then, I'd grab one to have it, and maybe since it wasn't my go-to, maybe it is still around, and I mean,
it might
don't
be.
notice it.
I mean, that's pretty bad if it just kind of blends in with the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Might as well not be around anymore.
I mean, I'll answer as well, because I mean, it's a good question. But Surge, I knew it made a comeback like at least a couple times in like the 16-ounce cans, but it hit. It didn't miss. That was the true Mountain Dew killer soda. Surge was like just jacked up on sugar.
Right.
Like that was like before Red Bull and all that came out, so I miss me some Surge. Oh, memories. Oh, I don't want to get on too much soda debate here, because trust me, I could go all night. But guys, thank you so much for joining us on the Power Hour tonight. You've been phenomenal. The comments have been phenomenal. And as always, once again, round of applause to you guys for making this show fantastic. We continue to put out great content for you, whether it be Tennessee Titans or NFL related, because we want to give you all the juice that you need to get through the day. So remember, don't forget, before you get out of here, poke the dots, make sure you like the show before you get out of here. And of course, sharing is caring, because right now, the algorithm will only get better when you share the show out and show your love and support for us. And we'll keep pushing out these great shows for you, whether it be from Upload, whether it be from Rossi, whether it be from us. We're going to make sure you get what you need. And of course, don't forget, subscribe to all our platforms as well, because that's how we continue to grow the Titan Upload Network for you. Check out the AFC Round South table as well. And don't forget, the BS Report drops April 6th. Uncut, uncensored. We're going to give it to you without any hesitation, and we're going to make sure you hear our true take on a lot of stuff. We're excited about this, so make sure you check that out wherever you get your podcast from. So, guys, we're out of here. We're going to see you next week. Bring you another great show as always, and have a great night. Hopefully, you're not going to go to bed hungry like me, but that's just a problem I got to deal with. Skinny life. It's hard. But for Tyler Staggs, I'm Michael Bishop of the Power Hour. And as always, take care and tighten up.
Tighten up.
You're watching the Titan Upload Network.